containers need to be redone. Last year, we were going to put money into the planters, but the county did everyone's planters, so we didn't have to spend the money on that. They're looking at changing, the county's going to foot the bill, not take it from our budget this time, but recycling and garbage containers they're going to be doing. We think there may be a few more, and that could be coming out of our budget as well. To date, we have spent a lot of their money on the lovely beautification of Snowball Park. What do you see there at Christmas time? Isn't it beautiful? Oh, you can't hear me?
No.
Okay. And so Snowball, is that on?
Yeah.
Okay, Snowball Park has the lights. We've added to it for the last 3 or 4 years, and it's really nice and warm. And they've actually done a little celebration of them. Okay, it's not working. It says on. It's working. Okay. The one shaking his head, do I call him by name and shame him? No. No, so it's something that's really nice and it's been added to, but we're also looking what else, if you have any ideas what could be used in the downtown core to help it better. They're looking at doing some new directional signs for parking down here. So they're looking at things and it's lovely. And we want our downtown core to be unified and be very welcoming. So it's going the right way. We're looking at Heidi Gorder's one. Ian White is here. He's on our committee as well. Sherry Barna, I didn't see her. John Monkhouse, who is here. And Brandon Webb is our staff person from the County of Brant. John McAlpine is our counselor who sits on our committee. So we're welcome and very happy to see more people join us. All right. Thank you for coming. I know it's very close to many people want to know what's going on. They have the panel of the experts who are going to chat to us. We have both our counselors, John McMillan and Jennifer Kyle here, which you both should probably know at this point. All right. So thank you for coming, and I hope you entertain us well.
Yeah, thanks again for everybody showing up. It's much appreciated that so many people are coming out.
John McAlpine at the door. How long do I know him? Jay had to tell me. We have 2 Johns, both have them last names.
As long as no one doesn't call me late for dinner, I'm
okay.
So, yeah, so anyway, yeah, again, welcome everybody. Again, it's great to see so many people out. I'd just like to start out today and with just a little bit about the mayor and the past mayor. And so most people have probably heard the news that Mayor David Bailey has decided not to run for the 3rd term. I'd like to take a moment and thank David for his hard work he has done over the course of his 2 terms, shepherding the county through some of very challenging times. During his 1st term, we faced COVID, a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic. In this current term, we have faced the full force of development that has been planned for more than 20 years ago, but is only beginning to break the ground in the last few years. All the while dealing with the challenges of the aging infrastructure that now needs to be updated and replaced. Hopefully we will have an opportunity to give a proper send-off to David in the future. So originally I had planned to talk about the history of St. George and the growth and almost nothing from how everything started in the early 1800s. Instead, I thought I would take a few minutes and talk about Ron Eddy and his impact on our community. Ron was born in 1832. Okay, at least that's what some of us thought. It's hard to imagine a time when he wasn't involved in politics in our community. Beginning in 1978, he was elected Reeve of South Dumfries. Over the years, he went on to serve as MPP from 1992 to 1995, and in 1999, he was elected the mayor, a role he held until 2018 of the County of Brant. On top of all of that, he also was both the head of the Association of Municipalities of Ontario and the Good Roads Association. One of the longest political runs in Ontario history. Still, numbers don't do justice to the impact he had. I would describe Ron as a late bloomer. Okay, so that is hard to believe. Successful people often credit their better half to much of their success. And Janice, his wife, 53 years, along with his family, helped settle him, focus him, and ground him. As you listened to Mark speak a couple weeks ago, you could hear just how close-knit the family was. It's hard to believe Ron didn't marry until his 40s, and his political ambitions weren't realized until shortly after that. Everyone, I think, has a different story about Ron and how they knew him. He always reminded me of Tom Sawyer, the boy who got the neighborhood kids not only to paint his parents' fence, but to pay for the privilege. In Ron's case, it was the Sunday school class to help out build his cabin. A cabin that later featured many stories that I'm told are never to be repeated. Not ever told, I've never told outright, only hinted at what they were. Ron's funeral was a celebration of a life well lived. Someone who genuinely tried to make this community a better place. There's a saying, if you have to keep reminding people that you're the king, you're not the king. Ron preferred to be simply known as Ron rather than Mayor Eddie. He walked along his fellow councillors, debated openly, consulted with his community, never missed a funeral or an auction, and faithfully collected his pumps, an engineering marvel that were outright. He had a deep sense of curiosity and love of history, farming and tractors, particularly Minneapolis Moline. I never had the chance to serve alongside Ron, but his time to time, he popped up in my life. Early on, when I started my business, he purchased one of my first grandfather clocks, one he still cherished 40 years later. When I first bought my property in the newly developed industrial park, he helped me to work through a number of issues. Ron's patience with delegates and constituents was endless. Phrases like, well now, would you look at that, were classic Ron. He helped bring the county together as a single-tier municipality while working just as hard preserving the identity of each individual community. And when Brantford needed to grow, Ron ensured the fair compensation for the county investment in those lands. I'd like to share a quote from Carol Palfengo, the editor of the St. George Lance that just arrived in my mailbox this week, which captured Ron perfectly. It was always fun covering Ron Eddy for the newspaper. Long meetings were entertaining by his frequent quips, which were sometimes get him into trouble, and he always made politics interesting. There were many fascinating anecdotes at council. He knew everyone, and always a wealth of background information about every issue. He made sure everyone in the room, including the reporters, could see and hear, and there were many times when personality got someone a chair. He buzzed around the county in a silver Ford Mustang and attended meetings all times of the day and night. I don't know how he did it. No one could keep up with him. He was patient with everyone who came to the podium, listening carefully, but he would not stand for bad behavior on our nasty comments. He didn't tolerate laziness, excuses, or unnecessary spending. He knew what was going on in every department in detail. He had amazing foresight for political acumen and advocated tirelessly for the county of Brant wherever he went. He was truly one of a kind, the kind of politician you would vote for again and again, and that's exactly what Brant County did. I was once told that Ron never took a holiday. I think that was only partly true. I believe he involved in the life, I think being involved in the life and politics of the community was his holiday. He will be missed. So I'm going to turn things over to Jennifer to give a little community update on some other things that are happening overall in the community. And then I'm going to open it up to our panel discussion when she's finished.
All right. Good evening, everyone. It's really great to see such a crazy turnout. When I came in from out of town, there was people parked all up and down the roads. I wasn't sure where I was going to park, but I did happen to get a Rockstar parking spot out here, so that's great. I promise I'll keep this to about 5 minutes or less, I've been told by John, which in municipal government time is practically a lightning round, so we'll see how this goes. But I have been asked to spend a few minutes talking about some of the highlights from 2025, and in particular what we're seeing when it comes to industrial and commercial growth and why that matters. So in 2025 was a really big year, and actually it was a record-breaking year for both industrial and commercial development in the county of Brant. We saw more than $160 million worth of building permits issued, and a significant portion of that was in industrial development. And that's not just a number on paper, that's new businesses, new buildings, and new jobs that are taking shape in and around the community. So you probably have heard some of the names. I'm sure lots of folks have heard that Amazon is building a new facility near the 403 corridor on Rust Acres in Paris. Tiger Cat has expanded again. Now they have 4 facilities in Paris and hundreds of local jobs. And we're also seeing growth in areas like transportation, warehousing, and professional services. And what that tells us is something really important, and that is that businesses are choosing Brant. They're choosing us because of our location, because of our workforce, and the quality of life that we offer here in our community. So now, why does that matter, and why does this kind of growth in particular really matter? It matters because this directly impacts your property taxes and the long-term sustainability of our community. So right now, the residential taxpayers are carrying the majority of the tax burden. So when we grow our industrial and our commercial base, we are broadening out that tax base. We're bringing in some new revenue from outside the community, which is really good. And we reduce the pressure on homeowners over time. So at the same time, development charges from that growth, they help to fund things like the roads and infrastructure and the services that support that growth. Now I say that with an asterisk because the province is making some changes. So that's how the system works today. And while the province has signaled some changes in terms of development charges, we're keeping a close eye on what that means for us in Brant. So that could change, we will see. But what we really mean is that when we're talking about growth done right helps pay for growth. And so that's what we're always aiming for. And that's why those industrial commercial developments are important, because they help to bring that back into alignment. And I would also say that it's important to note that this didn't happen by accident. The development that we're seeing now in terms of that industrial commercial to balance out the residential is the result of a lot of years of work to make Brant investment ready, business friendly, and competitive in a really challenging environment. We've been really intentional about planning out the employment lands and investing in infrastructure and supporting both the new and the existing businesses. And I'll be honest, that doesn't always feel easy on the ground. Projects like the downtown dig in Paris, that's brought some real disruption to the businesses, and we've heard directly from them. But at the same time, we've also seen some of those businesses open, expand, or invest even during that period. So that speaks to both their resilience and the importance of making sure we're supporting them through change, not just planning it. And economic development isn't just about attracting something new. It is about supporting those businesses that are already there, the ones that are creating the jobs and investing back into our community every day. I also want to acknowledge something that I hear often, especially when we talk about places like Paris or what's to come here in St. George. And there's a feeling that growth has outpaced infrastructure, and in some areas it's a fair concern. So a lot of that growth was set into motion years ago, as John has mentioned. So the housing across Ontario has actually seen that same, the housing is moving faster than the infrastructure funding that's needed to support it. So what matters now is how we respond to that and to learn from what we've seen in places like Paris. And one of the things that we've been really focused on is making sure that the future growth, including here in St. George, which we're about to hear some more about from the folks who are on our panel, we want to make sure that it's paced, it's planned, and it's supported in a way that avoids some of those same pressures we've seen in other parts of the county. Because it's not just about growing, it's about growing well. So at the end of the day, what we're seeing now is the result of decisions made years, even decades ago at this point. And that's something that I do think about a lot. I often will say that we're the council for today, we're the current council, but we're actually the council that's making decisions that are going to be seen 10, 20, 30, maybe even 50 years down the road. So it's our responsibility to not just manage today, but to try and make choices that set up future councils and future residents for success. Because obviously, if we can get it right, then growth isn't something that happens to us, it happens, or it works for us. So that's what I have, because I know that these folks have a lot more of the details and the timelines that people have questions about. So we'll turn it over to John, and he will introduce our panelists.
Thanks, Jennifer. And, welcome.
I saw one right there.
Perfect. Okay, so we have 4 guest speakers with us today. We have David Mellor from the county, and he's our general manager of operations for the county of Brant, and he'll be giving sort of highlights of what's going to be happening and what's happened over the last few years and what's happening in the next couple of years. And then from the Bob Stewart is going to be representing Pinevest, and they're going to be doing some projects here in the near future, down near the hardware store, and then out on Highway 5 as well, in Beverly Street. And then we have William Liske from Losani Homes, who will be speaking today as well, and he's going to be talking about the development that's going to be helping south of Beverly Street and to the west of here. And Karen Ford will be presenting for Empire Homes, and they're going to be developing the north. And as Jennifer sort of alluded, what we have is a 30-year plan for the village. And so given the economic situation, I don't think we're going to be expecting near the kind of growth that we've seen over the last 5 years in Paris. The growth in the whole county is kind of amazing. We went from 36,000 people when I was first elected just 8 years ago to 46,000. It was just updated last week, we found out. And so that's 25% growth or more. And that's actually one of the highest rates in the province, if you go percentage-wise. So it's a lot of stuff to manage, and I really got to give our staff credit for what they've been able to do and what they've been able to step up. And part of it has been to try to phase growth. So we concentrated in Paris, and we held off growth for 20 years here in St. George, and now the wastewater treatment plant started, and still be about 2.5 years probably before we get the actual homes, but we're going to be seeing some construction happen on some of the main streets, but not near what was happening in Paris. But I'm going to ask Dave Miller to come forward, and Mellor, I should say, and give you a little bit more deeper and dive into it.
Thank you. So as Councillor McAlpine alluded to, so my name is Dave Mellor. I'm the General Manager of Operations with the County of Brant. And really what I want to talk to you, everyone here today, is what have we planned up to this moment, what's occurring this year. There is some construction ongoing in the community, as well as what's happening in the future. So I'll try to describe these slides the best I can. I just want to go to the next one there. Okay, I'm trying to remember my, there. Okay, so planning for development. You know, I worked in development and the municipal industry for about 15 years, and I've heard it all from everybody. Everybody says the traffic, stormwater, water, wastewater, protection of our wellheads. What about our parks? How do our parks work into it? Emergency services, fire. And even protection of the natural environment. You know, St. George is a beautiful place, and there is a lot of great trails and accesses that you have afforded to yourself here. So to support that, the county completed basically it's called an environmental assessment, and really what that does is it assesses everything outside of just the environment. So it'll look at a problem such as, you know, what's the best way to increase the wastewater capacity in St. George? How do we ensure that water is protected? Where does traffic infrastructure need to be improved to support the development? And it looks at all the different options and routes based on what these folks have planned. And the results of that, if you just want to go to the next slide. So the results of that is there's a number of projects, and the main one that Councillor McAlpine alluded to, which I'll talk a little bit about more, is the St. George wastewater treatment plant. And what the county did is, because there is such limited capacity at that plant today, there's something called an interim control bylaw, meaning they couldn't proceed with their development until this plant is constructed and the timing works out so that people aren't in those new homes until that infrastructure is there. And really, I know they might not think it's an advantage, but for us at the county, it's a huge advantage because we were able to work together with all of these developers and really coordinate all of their infrastructure and really plan out what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, and what those triggers are. So some of the projects, I'm not going to list them all, there's intersection improvements throughout the community, notably at 24, German School Road and 24, Highway 5 and 24. We're forecasting those, as well as some within the local community, as well and some general transportation upgrades. Active transportation routes was another outcome of those studies. So, you know, when you have homes developed, you want people to be able to walk and connect through the communities. So all of that was assessed and planned before they even put a bucket in the ground. And lastly, the wastewater and water treatment capacity enhancements. So if you go to the next slide, I think that's the one. So occurring this year, there is the new wastewater treatment plant project on Victor Boulevard. And that project takes the capacity of that wastewater treatment plant from 800 to 3,800 cubic meters a day. So it's a pretty substantial upgrade. It's not an expansion per se of the area. It's all contained within the same footprint of that facility. The reason that you're able to get so much more capacity is the technology has improved substantially from when that facility was first constructed. The completion timeline for that is March of 2028 today. The construction budget, and I want to talk a little bit about this, is $50 million, which sounds like a lot of money. We were able to secure $35 million from the province, and then there's a large portion of the remainder of that project is paid through something called development charges. And that's true for all of these projects that I'm mentioning. So whenever developers build a home, they're charged a development charge, and that goes directly to fund these expansion projects. So this I want to talk about a little bit. This is the construction occurring on St. George Road. So that's to support the Stony Ridge subdivision, phase 3. So this project, there'll be notices going out, and it's going to start on May 3rd. And the notice will say, I want everyone to pay attention for a second, the notice will say it'll end on substantially complete in August. And the schedule we received from the contractor is it would be mid to late June, they'll be paving. And I want everyone to put that in the back of their head because it's the next project is if you want to go to the next slide, is the trunk sewer main. So anybody, obviously everyone knows St. George, we're not going to do work on both of those roads in and out of the community at the same time. So we've scheduled them so that this work starts in July when traffic is open on that last project on St. George Road. And really this project here is to support the development and the servicing and get the flows from the new development areas into the wastewater treatment plant. So it's the green line here, and it extends along Beverly and High Street. And then there's a short section here on in the Victor Boulevard neighborhood. And that's anticipated to be completed in 2027. So in 2025 of this year, the county purchased land at the corner of Howell Road and the other intersecting road I can't read. But it's a 10-acre parcel, and the purpose of that parcel was for a water treatment plant expansion. That's currently in planning right now. We're going to proceed to design in the next couple of years. And the reason for this project is as a community grows, everyone knows, you know, there used to be the tap at the fire hall that constantly ran. St. George has a very high-performing aquifer, and it's not capacity that's driving the need for another source, it's redundancy. So as a community grows, things like fire protection, the availability of water, water's a critical resource for any community. So as the community grows, you add more sources to add redundancy to the community. That project is much it's a lot less complex than a wastewater treatment plant project. It's estimated at $10 million, and again, it adds redundancy for the community. And the next slide there. So, plan for the future. The Victor Boulevard area, there's historical stormwater issues there. If people live in that area, they'll know what I'm talking about. So we have done a study of the area to see, okay, what do we need to do? Do we need to increase the pipes? Do we need to add a pond? How do we fix this? And so that work is going to be proceeding in 2028, and it's going to coincide with the trunk sewer main extension through that neighborhood. So we're going to be replacing all the asphalt in that area, water, wastewater, stormwater, and really addressing the existing issues in the community. Because I want to put that in there, and that we do plan rehabilitations of the existing community, and it's not all trying to support development. We are progressing with works to support the existing community. Again, the intersection and roadway improvements, we're updating our transportation master plan in 2027. We're anticipating that Highway 5 and 24 between 2029 and 2031 will require upgrades, and then again, German School Road and Highway 24 as well as some other upgrades. And you might be thinking, well, they're going to be building next week, or not next week, this summer, next summer. I don't know when you guys are actually starting. You should talk about that. So it takes a while for the community to build out. And what we don't want to do is have St. George be a construction zone throughout the community until it's needed. So we really revise and relook at all the plans and the capital plans we have for the community and try to implement those projects when they're required. Because we really don't want everybody to have to drive through 3 or 4 construction sites every day on their way to work, or if they're going anywhere really. And another project we have listed is sidewalk improvements and pedestrian connectivity in the College Street area. So we've been in discussions with the school board about adding sidewalks to College Street, as well as some connectivity through the park. I believe our park staff there, they plow a road currently through the rec center. So we are going to asphalt that and add that connectivity, because there's been some concerns. What the school board indicated to us is how people get to school is changing. When we were all young, we all with 2 feet and a heartbeat to school. Now, mostly parents drop their children off. So we're really trying to protect children around the school. So we are advancing with those works this year or next year, sorry. I don't know if we want to do questions now or later.
Why don't we leave the questions?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, David, for informing us on all that information today. And it's always hard to condense 10 years of planning in 5 minutes, and so I appreciate it. And so at the very end, we're going to open it up to questions to everybody, and we'll do our best to answer them. And then we're going to be sticking around for some time afterwards. And if you want to talk to us and give us your thoughts, and please avoid the bomb threats. So I'm going to ask Bob Stewart from Pinevest to come up next.
My screen. Trying to make it bigger.
Close that too. Great. Good evening, everybody. Great to be here, and really appreciate the invite. Thank you, John. And yeah, I see a lot of familiar faces. This is my second time, I think, doing this. The first one was at the lawn bowling hall back in February of last year, I believe, right?
Yep.
I have some great imagery, but maybe we're not going to be able to see it. A lot of it is the same from February if you were there from last year. But again, Councillor McAlpine just asked if we could come as a developer group who have some developments coming in the community, and just give a bit of an overview on what we're going to be bringing forward. And of course, some timelines as well. But a lot of this, as Dave mentioned, is very much tied to the treatment plant updates. So we've been at this
a while. Some of the lands were purchased some time ago, as I think a lot of you know. Yeah, as we get closer with the wastewater treatment plant, we're bringing our plans forward and looking to get into that detailed design and basically community design and elevations on the homes. So we're moving forward. But again, Bob Stewart from Pinevest, happy to be here. If you want to go ahead, John, just a brief overview. We're a builder developer in the Brant area. Just downtown Paris is our head office. We've been in 15 plus years of building homes, over 250 built to date, ranging from townhomes to estate residential. As we look forward, we're very much into mixed-use commercial, as well as some mid-rise buildings in the Paris area actually coming up. So we're working through that as well with some of the new developments we have. Next one. So this is a aerial image. Again, I have a few more slides because we have a few more. They're smaller sites, but we have a few of them. So there'll be. This was just a bit of an overview for those who can see the golf course down here, Losani, the large piece here, Empire to the north, and then if you see in red, I think most of you know, obviously the Loveless Farm, we're a portion of that on the north side, and then Riverview, which is directly south of Scott Street. So it'll basically be planned for a future extension through and connecting to the Losani subdivision on the other side. And of course, Main Street's highlighted there as well. So the hardware store plaza and the lands south of Victor. So just want to run through what's up first there. I think it is Riverview. So this is the Losani plan. Bill will get into that. Just wanted to highlight the red so to show we're integrated with their plan. That's the extension from Scott down. If you want to move forward, there's just a draft plan. This was draft approved and zoned back in 2022, 2021. 33 single family homes lots planned for this one, along with a density block, which will be a mixture of townhomes, potentially singles. If you want to move ahead, basically it's a one road street or one road subdivision down into connecting to Losani. Here are the single families on either side with a block that backs onto the green space and the creek. So that'll be a mixture of some bungalow towns, which I'll show you some elevations of, as well as some potential singles. If you want to move ahead, there's also some plans for additional towns if you know the market allows, and that'll be kind of after the single family homes are built from our end. So again, this one will likely, timeline wise, we're into detailed design with engineering staff. So that means we're submitting our plans, grading, servicing, and working with the county on that, as well as our neighbors, and hopefully still looking to move some dirt from an earthworks perspective, maybe this year, maybe into next year. But again, constant conversations with the county on timelines and making sure we're aligning properly. So just to jump to the next one, Loveless Farm. So this is the overall plan, and Karen, I'm sure will speak to that in a little more detail. We're just the front block here, so which includes the original house as well as some lands to the west. So with that, our plan is, if you want to go one more, this is the zoom in of the area. We have some commercial along Highway 5, Beverly Street at the frontage, and then this blue section we plan to keep obviously the original homestead, and it'll be a separate parcel on its own once it's completed. And then we'll look to have a mixture of towns and singles, parkland, and of course, as I mentioned, the commercial block up front, which may have some mixed use with some residential as well. A lot of the commercial potential also has, building commercial on the main, there's potential to go up. Obviously, there's not a lot of rental product here in St. George, and I know part of the discussions we've had with some residents is aging in place, wanting to stay in town and not having to go elsewhere. So that's something we're really looking at, and you'll see some of the opportunities we have as we move forward in the plans. So Main Street, St. George, this is a concept plan we've been working on for quite some time. The plan here is to have some mixed use, keeping the plaza, the existing building on the plaza as is for now, and really starting probably on the south half of the block. So with that, we'll look to include some commercial on the main floors right fronting onto Main Street, and then potentially a story or two above of apartment units or something along those lines, with some townhouses planned for the back, obviously trying to look at the existing behind us and not going too high in that location. And then to the north half, it's a very similar product type. Again, just continuing on down from Main Street with some main commercial on the main, some units above, and then potentially some townhomes in the rear. But this is going to be a separate public meeting we're going to have as we get close to finalizing our plans, and we'll probably look to have one here as well as we get into more detail. So timing with this one, as part of the expansion of the wastewater treatment plant, there is existing capacity for infill development. So this falls under infill, so technically this could move forward now. I believe so still. They will let me know otherwise. But so the plan would be to try to get this through the public process in the next few months and get it on council agenda later this year. Of course, it is an election year, but that's the plan. We're going to try to move forward on this, and you'll see probably notices of a future public meeting soon. We did have some concept plans I did include, but again, it's very much a concept. This is just would be the frontage, and I'm happy to, I know it's tough to see, so I'll be hanging around after, so happy to discuss this or share anything that needs to be seen there. So, and then I think, yeah, just some elevations. What we've done in the past as Pinevest is do a lot of bungalow towns. You know, we'll have a mixture of the tighter 2-story, 3-story towns, but generally this is a product that's done very well, and we figure we'll put some of this on our Loveless plan as well as the Riverview plan south in the density block. So, and then the next is just some other imagery with our 2-story product, a bungalow, and just our standard 2-story town. So that is a lot of the stuff that we've done in the past is on our website. So definitely feel free to take a look, and contact information is there as well. So happy to connect. So that's kind of the overview I have right now, but happy to stick around for any questions specifically to our sites, as well as anything else you may have.
I do need the mic. So our next speaker is going to be William Liske from Losani Homes. And I just wanted to point out something. I wanted to say John here, Monkhouse, and his company's Chipmunk Computers, and he's our techie guru on the Business Association. And if everything goes smooth tonight, you're going to be able to view this and share it with other people on the St. George Business Association website. And I'm sure we'll be sharing it on Facebook as well, and maybe some other areas. So anyway, I'm going to turn the mic over to William Liske from Losani Homes. And just remind again, at the end, we'll open it up for questions.
Can we turn off the light so we can actually see what's on the board?
Try it. It's right at the back. Right in the middle, right beside the A. Try it. The wrong way. There. We'll go back. There we go. Down. There we go. There we go. Now you can see that one.
Thanks, John. I'd like to say thank you again to Councillor McAlpine and Dave Mellor for inviting me. It's great to see you all. I'm Bill from Losani. Just want to tell you a little bit about who Losani is, what we do, and then show you the plan. The draft plan is very large, so there's a lot of components to it: schools, parks, community centers, and all that. And then show you just a little bit about the architecture, what the homes look like today. And I'll try to be really quick. It won't be very entertaining, but hopefully it'll be informative. So Losani started 50 years ago in 1976. We're celebrating our 50th anniversary this year. It's a family-owned company. They're the Losanis. And I'm just an employee, but I'm very proud to work there. I've been there 15 years. I'm a lawyer by trade, but I try not to say that too loud because it's kind of embarrassing sometimes. You can tell by the way I'm dressed tonight, actually. So this is the draft plan, and it's very large. In total, it's about 300 acres, But in terms of what part of it's going to be developed, it's about 200 or less. And if you can see it okay, if you can't get a good view of it, see me after, I can email you a copy of it, a PDF copy. But you can see there's a lot of green space that's interspersed throughout the plan. And so there's going to be creeks running through it, green space. But I think what I'd like to point out most importantly is where development will start first, because this project, from my experience, is probably going to go for more than a decade. It's going to be around for a long time in phases, one phase at a time. So the first phase is this top corner up here on the right-hand side. That's the closest to the downtown core. That phase is all municipal roadways. There's no condominium, so it means it's a little bit more open. It's all single-family detached homes and some townhomes. This blue is it's a 5-acre storm pond, which Bob's company and myself will be sharing, putting all our stormwater into it. And up here, there's just a few lots in the very top right-hand corner that are on High Street. So they're not really part of the plan where the new roads are going to go. So what we're hoping to do at some point is build a couple homes there so you can see what they look like and what the finished product will be when the subdivision does start. Really importantly that I want to point out though is phase 2 is this long road that comes in off Dundas Street, comes down, and phase 2 has a school site and also it's shown as a park, but it's my understanding it's the county's will to do some sort of community center perhaps there. Also a storm pond, and it outlets out here onto Main Street. All in all, I don't want to be intimidating, but we're looking at probably over 1,200 homes. But like I said, that's going to be over decades, not all at once. You may see there's been sort of changes in the real estate market lately. People are not buying homes as much. And also the prices were getting inflated. They were getting too high. They're coming down now. So what we're seeing is a price correction. We're seeing homes be a little bit more affordable than they used to be, but also a cooled market. So I'm pretty confident to say you're not going to see the same sort of developers coming in and building homes in large swaths like you did back from, in 2016, 2022. There was just crazy. The market was insatiable. We couldn't build homes fast enough to satisfy the demand. So this is the draft plan. If there's any questions afterwards, I can answer them. These orange blocks, what they are, is those are condominium blocks. It's not a high-rise or mid-rise. These are condominium townhomes. So there'll be private roadways and then townhomes on those roadways. And the idea is that's where the most affordable product will be. Condominium townhomes sometimes are back-to-backs or stacks, so they don't have backyards or the one on top of the other. That's what we do to try to create more affordability. And also, just one more thing I'm going to note, up on Dundas Street, there's one little block right here that we're trying to decide what to do with that, but one option is to do what Bob mentioned, to do some commercial on the ground floor and some apartments above. So we also do purpose-built rental buildings as well as freehold homes. So for a rental option for apartments, that's one small block, and it makes some sense there because that's close to downtown and close to amenities and services for people who are rentals and may not have a car. So that's the draft plan. I'm available for questions afterwards. I just want to show you a couple. Well, yes.
Could I just ask, is Dundas Street Beverly Street?
Yes.
Okay, just so that we understand.
Yes, sorry about that. I'm coming from Burlington, so it's Dundas there. Highway 5. Right, so I just want to show you a little bit about the architecture, mainly because if you want to see what the look and feel of homes will look like when they're built, these are the latest and greatest. These are the homes we're building in Paris now. This would be the next slide.
It's a different file, I think.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
That's what I was just wondering. Number 3? Oh, wait, this is number 3. There it is.
Right, thank you. So when I started practicing law and working for builders, there was a lot of whites and beiges. What you see in modern architecture is a lot of dark colors, dark roofs and dark doors and dark colored garage doors and even colored window surrounds. So this is a modern architecture, it's called. So this is what people are looking for now in the marketplace. I'm going quickly because I'm not in sales marketing. So if I were trying to sell homes, I would suck. I apologize. But I do want to show you what they look like. So there's wood accents to give it sort of a natural look and feel. There's stone to make them look a little bit more upscale. And I'll keep going really quickly. This is an example of one block townhomes that share. Again, you can see it's very dark, but it's a blue sky in the daylight. It doesn't look that dark. This is an up close. So typically the townhomes will have some siding. Siding is a cheaper product, but we're going to try to do a really good job. St. George we see as an upscale market, higher in quality and quality of life than say, hopefully there's nobody offended by this, but we thought St. George really is a premium place to live. And so there's going to be a fair bit of stone on the front elevation for the product. And this is a variation of what our sales team called modern farmhouse. I don't understand it. But some people like it, people are buying it, so there you have it. And I think there's just one more. This one, I actually like this. There's a lot of their transoms or tall windows that bring light into the homes. It's something that people see. So what you'll see is at Losani, we try to make sure there's all products and all price points for all people. So there'll be different size lots, different size townhomes. There'll be bungalows, 2-story, as well as all different levels from sort of higher end singles right through more affordable product. So subject to any questions that people have at the end, I'll tie it off real there and I'll pass it over to Councillor. Thank you.
Thank you. That's much appreciated. Our next speaker is going to be Karen Ford from Empire Homes.
So thanks for having me. It's so great to see so much interest in the community and what's going on. So I'm from Empire Homes. We're a home builder in the Ontario market. We've been around for over 30 years and are also a family-owned company that's both a home builder and developer. We've built about 38,000 houses within the Ontario market over the last 30 years, and have built over 100 different communities, everything from high-rise to low-rise to townhouses, back-to-backs. We sort of build the full range of housing options for people. Right now, these are our 6 current sites that we're building in. So lots of sites down towards the Niagara area, Welland, Thorold. Our closest to here would be our community in Brantford, which we've been building in for over 20 years. We've built 2,200 homes there. So you can get a good sense of sort of our style of development or our style of building communities from what we've built there and what we call our Winfield community. But getting to St. George, so we own the property beside Bob there on the Loveless lands. So it's about 130 acres of land that we own. If you go to the next one. We're still working a little bit on our plan. So we're really starting from a baseline of what do we want the community structure to really be? How do we really make this community a place that people want to be and build out over time, and ensure that we have, not just residential, but a really focused, great community park for the neighborhood. We have commercial down on Highway 5, some pretty big stormwater management facilities to deal with our stormwater, and also create a connecting trail network throughout our community and tying into the existing community. So you'll see through the existing woodlot feature, tying that into our park space and really making it a great feature for the overall site. So within ours, we're looking to do basically mostly freehold properties, everything from single detached to townhouses, some back-to-back product, but really looking to provide a variety of opportunities for people in every stage of their life. If you go to the next, so this is just a sampling of some of the elevations that we offer in our Winfield community. Obviously, because we're still a few years away, I think, from really breaking ground in St. George. This is sort of what we're building today, and we'll have new elevations and new floor plans by then. We are looking to maybe move some earthworks this year, either this summer or this fall, within St. George, and then servicing for 27, and hopefully house construction in sort of late 28 is where we sit today. Given it's 130 acres, that's obviously a very large community, and similar to Losani, we see this as a very long-term build out in multiple phases. So we definitely do not see this being built out quickly all at once. That's pretty much it from my part. Ours is pretty simple, not as many things going on as Pinevest or Losani, but if you're interested in sort of getting a sense of what our homes look like, Winfield, there's a presentation center there and some model homes that you can see sort of and feel what the actual product will look like moving forward. So thank you very much.
Okay, well, thank you very much to our guest speakers, and run! Okay, thanks for turning the lights on. So I'm going to open it up to everyone for any questions that you might have today. Go ahead.
So I think we heard at least 2, maybe 3 of the developers are going to start earthworks this year.
Yeah.
So how many acres of earthworks are going to be under development at the same time through the late summer and fall in the city? And I assume there's a traffic management plan for that.
Okay, who would like to tackle that?
I'm looking at Dave, actually.
I don't know this answer.
Yeah, I think from our end, our sites are obviously a little smaller than what you're seeing. But in terms of a phasing, obviously Losani and Empire are going to have multiple phases to their developments. Ours are small enough, it'll likely be one phase. We'll be looking at probably moving dirt on all of them. And part of that, so far we have a great working landowners group. Really, obviously, you're going to have cut fill on each site. And we're going to try to work together as best we can to manage, obviously, trucks staying on site. And at least if we're crossing the road, it's not going to be constant. We're going to be able to hopefully work together and be able to achieve a pretty solid earthworks program together. And that said, I think with the larger, I won't get into the larger sites, I'll let you guys deal with that now. But yeah, our whole sites will, like Pinevest sites being Riverview and the Loveless Farm, will likely be all going at hopefully at the same time. But again, our Loveless site's about 30 acres, maybe 16 technically developable. So that'll be our end, and then it's very similar to Riverview across the road. But hopefully when the trucks are on site, we'll be able to work internally and not disrupting the road pattern too much.
I'm skeptical that we're going to start earthworks this year. It is a big earthworks program. Like I said, there's that big pond to build, but our site is pretty balanced, so I don't expect a lot of export. The issue we have is that there is that creek that runs through the site. So to transport a material, dirt, fill, topsoil, we may have to go out onto Beverly Street and then back in the other road. So we'll have to work out a transportation plan with the able assistance of the county, but I don't think it's going to happen this year.
For us, we are looking at starting some work really just on the stormwater management pond. That's our biggest export within our site, but it will just be within our phase 1. So at most, sort of 15 to 20 acres that we'd be opening up. Beyond the pond, for the most part, the rest of the site can balance sort of within itself. So beyond that, we're not really expecting a ton of export off of the site. And again, we haven't worked through our our traffic management or anything like that, because we're still sort of in the early stages of our applications, but that definitely will be part of the approval process with the county.
Over here, yes.
This question is kind of for everybody, specifically the developers who will be moving for really close to existing residential homes. Just wondering if there's any plans for sound mitigation to help alleviate the constant construction noise that's going to be happening, and also if there's any plans for dust control when you start moving.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Depending on the time of year, you know, if it's dry through the summer and the prevailing winds, it can be difficult. So a lot of that is usually dealt with a watering program, keeping the dust down that way. And there's definitely mitigation from a noise perspective on the trucks, but unfortunately, there's still a lot of safety standards that we have to adhere to as well. So the backup, the quackers, there's different types of items we can try to look at. But yeah, again, it'll be dust control, and the county's very, very good at making sure that's dealt with on site, and we'll definitely be diligent, especially from Riverview's perspective. We have a lot of homes backing onto that phase for us, so we'll definitely have to keep that in mind as we go. But yeah, generally keeping the dust down, watering programs, mud mats for trucks in and out, things like that. But it will be a development, and there will be some noise, but obviously always try to mitigate as best we can.
And they also have to follow the County of Brant's construction standards. So it's from 7 to 7 is the permitted work hours that they're allowed to work. And that's the same with any contractor working in the county. You know, if your neighbors are putting boards together at 6:30 in the morning, you could call bylaw, complain on them if you'd like. But the same is true for these folks, and it's no work on Sundays as well. So that's the rules that they need to follow.
I'm gonna let these guys go first, and if they make any mistakes, I'll learn from. We'll get it right.
I think they covered it. Like, we will for sure be doing a watering program. I think also because we're starting early and sort of giving ourselves the time, we can also plan it to do it at the most optimal time of the year. So not the heat of the summer when you do get the most dust. So that is sort of part of the plan of starting early. It's also being able to adjust our schedules to hopefully minimize the impact.
I'm gonna go back there. Back.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't see the map very well. We're on West Street, and so our backyard backs onto the stream. And is that where the pond point? Losani, I guess.
You know, maybe it'd be best if you want to see me after. I can show you on the plan. We'll blow it up. It's a big plan, but I'm not quite sure exactly where your address is, so we'll have to have a closer look.
I believe it is just behind West Street. So, okay, so next question here.
One of the previous questions there was when some of this would be starting, and sorry, Karen from Empire, you just said sooner. Rough timeline when Empire is starting?
So we are looking for this summer, so June or July. It sort of depends how approvals go and a little bit how the market's going, whether or not we decide to proceed this year. So it will either be June, July this year, or like
or we'll push it off to the fall, sort of October, November program.
Okay, next question. Okay. I'll go back here and then we'll come back.
Just the thing said that the new school, is that replacing the existing school, or is it actually going to be public, or how?
Okay, I'm not going to put David on the hot spot for this one, or the developers, because that is one thing that's out of our control. The school board looks at the actual growth that's happening and what's projected as the needs. But what we have done is set aside land for a new school, and we are advocating for a new school. Actually, at this point, the school that exists is under, there's less students than it can house. So, so we've got to keep all these things in mind as we go through. So, okay. Back here.
Just towards you, Don, and the county, but with all this new development coming, these people are gonna wanna do some form of recreation. Does it not make sense to keep the Oaks of St. George as a golf course so that there is some recreation in the area for all these?
Okay, I would love to see it stay as a golf course because I live across from it. So. Although I don't golf.
I do.
Yeah, so do I. I was quite perturbed when I heard that. So I moved back to the community. Grew up in Paris, and so I understand your question, and it is a privately owned golf course, so we can't make them not sell to a developer. But what I will say is there are requirements for all of these developments that they have to create parks. And there's quite a large parkland space going within the Losani development, as well as, is there more? And yeah, in every development, they have community parks. And the county recently updated our parks master plan, and it was a long process, but it really said, what does a community want, right? And there's things like pickleball courts, and then there might be soccer fields in other areas for recreation. But I hear you there. I wish I could play the golf course for a little longer too.
John, is the county or the developers responsible for the servicing costs of the infrastructure on the said development areas?
Pass this over to you.
So all of the infrastructure within their property, the developer pays for 100%. So they put all the pipes in the ground, they dig the stormwater ponds, they put the asphalt, the sidewalks, the curb, the services to all the homes, and then they connect into the county. It is 100% developer funded, not a cent is paid by anyone's taxes.
I like the idea of St. George increasing in size, but with coexisting with the younger generation and the older, is there any thought put to retirement community?
I think there's going to be some good news coming forward in the next month or so. But yeah, we've been working on twinning with Russell Heights, but we can't say how much to share. Oh, and Bob does actually have some plans.
Yeah, well, no, obviously being from the community, I grew up here, and my grandparents have all had to leave to go to homes or some different types of living. So part of that, and even hearing from Losani Empire, we think we can fill a need there for maybe it's rental apartments or different, instead of living in a bungalow or a split, maybe we have bungalow towns that serve that aspect. On our Main Street property, part of that north half of the hardware store, we are very much looking, because it does back on to Russell Heights as well, at maybe a single building. Maybe it matches the mill in height, but perhaps that's something could be dedicated to more of a seniors living or seniors lifestyle. So that's definitely on the radar, especially based on the market conditions in St. George, and we think it's an opportunity to bring into our plan. So stay tuned, but yeah, definitely something we'll consider.
And just one more question. Can we expect something like a Don Valley parking lot with all the increase? That's a concern because it's already getting really busy in St. George.
So this, I don't have a good answer for it because I don't know the answer. That's a different department, but I'll explain what we did in Paris as an example. So they will do a parking study as the community grows and look at alternative areas to increase parking in the community and the downtown core as well.
So street lights are gonna happen, stoplights, more stoplights? rush hour and all that, I guess?
Yep, so all the improvements for the existing community, we understand where they need to go and at what thresholds they need to proceed at. And it really relies on when the developers to move forward with their phasing and their work. So we have it budgeted and scheduled, but we move those in and out every year depending on when they're required.
And one last question, sorry. Is there any thought of tiny home communities in this whole area? Because it is a big thing.
You could talk about the areas.
Sure. Tiny homes, I will get your name and information. So I'm not in planning and development, I'm in operations. So I'll get your name and information and get that back to you. But the county does permit ARU, so it's an additional residential unit. So if anyone here owns a property, you could build an additional residential unit on your property to increase the density. And you still have to meet some requirements for setbacks, zoning, etc. But as far as minimum square feet for tiny homes, I do not know if they're permitted in the county, to be honest with you. So I'll get your name and information. Someone will follow up.
One thing just wanted to mention, and we've been working with the county on this, is a bit of an ask ahead of development, really, well, not before it starts, but before it gets too busy, is at the intersection of, I mean, where Bill said phase 2 comes down, and then through the Loveless Farm, where it shoots north. That will likely be a roundabout there. And the plan would be to get that online so people get used to it early. So that is part of the plans, and we're working with the county on the overall size and scale of that. But that should help also just move traffic through that first section.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions?
Bob Roseberg. I live right on Highway 5, and in the last 2 years, we've been flagged, and I mean flagged, starting at 20 to 5 in the morning, gravel haulers whistling through town here, and lots of them. And for the safety of the kids, the schools, they have no respect. You can put the police out there for 20 minutes, and I think they can all communicate, they slow down. The best thing was the speed camera. It did slow it down. I'll have to say that worked. And I think that when this construction starts, they're going to tie things up big time. I'm just telling you, the road traffic for the haulers here, the gravel haulers, it's a wonder somebody hasn't been killed yet and whatever. But they beat it through town going west. They start at 20 to 5 in the morning. And all they do is sit up on Highway 24, along Highway 24, waiting to get into the pit when the pit opens. Then they're back through town. You know, somebody had to stand out there and count the trucks. It is amazing.
So just thank you for the comments. I do appreciate that. And I'll just explain this speed camera. Obviously that wasn't the county's decision to take that away. But what the provincial government has done is they've provided funding for locations where speed cameras were approved. So one of them is the location you referenced. And so we're trying to work through what type of traffic calming activities we can put there. Again, it is a major roadway. It's one of the arterial roads in St. George. So we have to be careful because, you know, we want people to slow down, but we also need traffic to move. And I always give this example of if you're driving on the 403, what we're looking at, and it'll come down to the movement of farm equipment as well through the community, is some narrowings. And if you're ever driving through construction on the 403, there's a reason the lanes feel tight. It's so that people slow down. And the same is true for your residential streets.
Just one more question. This is to go to Losani. You were wondering that up against West Street, the corner of West Street up in this corner here, of what to do. It'd be a great place for a swimming pool adventure because you know for sure yourself you got the water there.
If the county will allow, we'll open up the storm flush for swimming.
It's not allowed.
I was about to say that. I just read a 200-page package on stormwater management last week, and yeah, apparently it's not allowed.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah. Okay.
As this young guy alluded to here about the safety of our young children walking to and from school every day along Highway 5, and he's right, truck traffic is absolutely horrendous. My biggest fear is once these kids may slip and fall during winter, and next thing you know, they fall on the road, right? Especially when the construction starts commencing, like what kind of safety measures are just going to be put in place so that the kids are safe, especially when they walk to and from school or wherever they may be walking to friends' houses or whatever, right? Because that's a busy street, and he's 100% right. You know, that's my fear for my kids too.
Yeah.
Right. So we want to make sure that there's going to be traffic lights so that these trucks have to stop, knowing that there is a community safe zone for children and families, everything else, right? The safety is number one as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so what are these guys going to do in place of that for our kids and everybody in the community?
As David said there earlier, one of the things that Pinevest has pushed for as well is trying to get these roundabouts in. And the concepts of road dieting and stuff like that slow traffic down.
Yeah, is that going to help during the construction process? Is there going to be stoplights put in place during the construction process to slow the traffic down so that it's safe for everybody to get through?
Yeah, we'll have to take that back to staff. But we worked on it for years, and we spent a lot of money bringing in the speed cameras, and they were highly effective, and we had them in place for like 2 months, and then they were pulled out. And it's probably the most effective thing that we could have had for bringing the speed down.
I know that myself. I still don't know about it. Ever since the cameras have been taken down, I don't know about it. I stay right at the speed limit just because I know about all the kids there.
Yeah. And a little fact along with that is if 25% of the people here in the room that are driving down Highway 5 slowed down to do the speed limit, that would effectively slow everybody down.
No, because they just passed.
That's what I've been reading. So anyway, but we are going to do our best.
We've got one roundabout plan. Was that going in before the houses start? We're thinking we're going to be done first.
I believe there's going to be a couple though.
That'll help with the trucks.
Yeah, I think we're going to be updating our traffic study as well. That will kind of basically meet certain thresholds of when things are needed. But part of the ask in working with the county was trying to get that roundabout, that single one in, and that's all I really know about at this time in terms of roundabouts. But yeah, it's going through the process, whether it's prior to the first home going in on the north side. I think the south side is phase 2, so you probably won't see that going until well after that first phase is done. But yeah, we're definitely working with the county on timing for that roundabout. And of course, if there's additional work being done this summer, though, we want to make sure it's timed appropriately so you're not shutting it down when something else is happening as well.
There's one roundabout plan so far, because that'll help slow the trucks down.
As far as I know, it's one on the plan.
Is it?
Where is it?
Is it close to the official plan?
Yeah, if you. Yeah, so if sorry.
That's what the official plan says right there. Oh,
Right here.
oh, it's moving over there.
So yeah, if you get, oh, you're on the OP, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, where this road from the Loveless Farm comes out, there's a future road here for Losani's phase 2 that I mentioned. So it's going to be right here is the current plan for it.
Is that Highway 5?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah, that's Highway 5 there.
So it's moving from
Scott. Or sorry, hang on. It's a new plan. Hang on. So Scott's here. Here's the Loveless entrance. This is the bump out here. Apologies. Yeah, and nothing's planned further on down. It's just that one there.
The soccer field is like what, right here? That green area there? Yeah.
And my understanding is the south end on on Main Street as well. They're planning for one eventually, and that might tie in when we put in the rec center and the kids' school. Would you have any additions, Jennifer, just in case?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Well, we know what this.
Yeah. Yep. Again, it's kind of a phased process. So as homes are built and we reach a level of traffic, there's certain numbers that we use to make these decisions. So, okay. Okay, next question. Okay, over here.
I have two questions actually. So the first one is, we're ways away from this, I think, but you guys, both Losani and Empire, you guys mentioned parks coming to, like, as part of your development. I was just wondering, like, as a developer, likely to develop a built park, if you plan on engaging the community in terms of, like, determining what amenities were going to be a part of those parks, like down to, like, entertainment, sports facilities, etc. Oh, sorry, and question two, you mentioned rec center, community center. I was just wondering what that kind of, what the program looks like for that.
So you should mention the last meeting we held here, that we had a little present on all the park plans that were coming into the village and all the areas, it was very informative.
Yeah. I know, and that's the challenge, and we're trying to, each time sort of focus on a different section, and so that was our focus last time. And we've been doing a constant engagement online about the park and recs, and we have a master plan. So if you go to Engage Brant.
I was just wondering for the park specifically, if you plan on engaging the local community.
Yeah, and we will be, and I'll pass it on to Jennifer.
Yeah, so any of the new parks and any of the new developments, those will have all full public consultation. So I think what you're referring to is any of like kind of the refurbishing or when we have to do like an upgrade. Sometimes there is and sometimes there isn't, depending on whether it's just a replacement or whether there's like new plans. So yes, any of these new parks will have full public consultation, as will the community center once we get towards that piece as well.
Would you guys like to add?
Oh, just one thing I'll add, we actually build parks on behalf of municipalities. There's one in the town of Lincoln and Beamsville called Prokich Park, and then there's one in Hamilton called Times Square Park, just off the Lincoln Alexander Parkway. We found that it's a good partnership because we have to give the land to the county anyway. So what we typically do is just grade it, maybe seed it with sod or something. But the county then wants to take it. They already have their design, so we don't really have a lot of say in it, but we can build it for them, and that's a way of getting it done more quickly so that it serves the community right away.
Yeah, since we're expanding and there's going to be so many more people living in this area, are we looking at any medical facilities? Because the closest one for us is in Paris, or then we got to go to Brantford, Cambridge.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you know, it'd be nice to have something here because of the growth of our population.
Okay.
So as far as the county planning medical facilities, I would recommend everybody here with the new hospital project, it's healthcare in the area. So I recommend everybody when the surveys come out, fill those surveys out. So I live in the south end of Paris in the newer area. And with the commercial development, what often happens is those pharmacies and walk-in clinics, there'll be a doctor that'll rent potentially a commercial area, and they'll have clientele, but then they'll also open it up to walk-in clinics as well. There's one or two on Rest Acres Road there, and it's incredibly convenient. But as far as the county saying, yes, you know, you will have a Willet in the community, we very much don't have that control on the planning for healthcare in the area.
I think there's a couple of good news stories in that is that we're in the process of looking at properties for the new hospital. And again, that should be announced, I think, in the near future, where that's going to be located. That's still a 10-year plan, though. And but another good news story, too, for the county is, well, one is passed, like in the last, I think 6 years ago, we opened up the Cowan Community Center. and that's only about a 10-minute drive for us. And that was very much driven by the county. And then the other piece is we're doing an expansion on the John Noble home. And that's one thing I've been working on diligently for the last 4 years. And as chair, I'm looking forward to, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be doing the final walkthrough and doing, looking for the delinquencies and then going through the approvals processes. And hopefully by the end of the summer, we'll have our first patients moving in. So that's going to be 40 beds. It's a 37,000 foot expansion. And it's going to also take pressure off the hospitals because a lot of the people that are using that facility are now very high acuity rate. So that's another good news story. So, and yeah, we would love to work with, we have a new doctor that's going to be coming in the next month. He's going to be replacing our current doctor, who's my doctor. And so he's been nice enough to take me on. So I'm looking forward to that. And then, yeah, just look, again, and a lot of these things depend on how fast we grow and a lot of variables there. So, yeah.
Does the Losani development include golf course, and if so, what phase?
I heard the comment about losing the Oaks.
The golf course that's existing, and I thought, well, our park's pretty big. I think it's about 7 acres. We could do maybe 9-hole pitching putt. It's the county's decision. It's not ours.
Does your development include golf course?
The Losani development's made up of the old Beatrice dairy plant and the Werstein farm, and then one other piece. It's not part of the golf course.
That's a different developer.
With the expansion of all these new residences, are there any plans to make to expand the fire station or have paramedic or police satellite office in town?
So with respect to the fire station, again, I'll give an example because Paris has grown before St. George. You know, the North Paris Fire Station is under construction right now, and they actually just split the crews, the volunteer crews, into a north and south crew to, you know, have better response times within the community. And that I'd recommend reading it, the County of Brant Fire Master Plan. So really, it's based on level of service, and our fire department or emergency services, they do a great job of ensuring that those response times and those minimum standards are met. So if they start approaching the minimum, they'll make a plan to either put a new station somewhere, consolidate stations, expand stations, and hiring. You know, Paris, the fire department there went through a lot of hiring and expansion to ensure that they had the staff to respond throughout the community. I think those volunteers in Paris, the stats were last year, they get about, I want to say 1 call a day, which doesn't sound like a lot, but again, these are people leaving their jobs, leaving in the middle of the night. So it is something of extreme importance to the county, is to ensure that the community is safe. And the same is true with ambulances. I know this year there was quite a large, not large, but expansion of the ambulance service to respond to the growing community in Brantford and Brant as well. So the County of Brant OPP, that I can't speak to. I don't know too much about the County of Brant OPP.
Well, residents is gonna, sorry to say, bring a little bit more action.
Yeah, there is a formula that goes with the number of the population, and that relates to the number of police that we have. So we own the police offices over there that we recently built, and there is room there, I believe, to expand if we ever needed to. And so that's, yeah, so that's sort of explaining it. So yeah, we look at all these things, and that's part of the development charges that the developers pay. And that goes towards new fire halls, new police stations, new libraries, new rec centers, in addition to new roads and all the plumbing and everything else that goes into the road. So another 200 pages.
I don't know if you guys can put your numbers together, but I know there's a couple of different ways you could do this. But can you ballpark about how many houses, townhouses you're putting in amongst the 3 of you? And do you have any idea what percentage you're going to do them as multifamily? Because I think density is a big concern of people in the town.
Yeah, from our end, I mean, we're 33 singles on Riverview plus another, I mean, you could, depending on the, and when I say density and the density blocks on Riverview, we're talking about towns like bungalow towns. So in the draft, all the draft plans online have all the unit counts that are public. And I think on Riverview, we're kind of at that 110-ish. But based on potential redesign, we're down to maybe 75, and then Loveless would likely include a little more townhomes, and then of course the commercial mixed-use block. That's a bit up in the air. If you go up with apartments, you're obviously going to get more unit counts. But again, purpose-built rental, condo, whatever you want to do there, we're aiming for 50 to 100 units of potential stuff there if it works out. For the rest of the site, we're kind of 100-ish there in terms of a mixture of townhomes and single family.
Thanks for the question. The split for townhomes to singles in the Losani site is almost balanced at 50-50. So the densities will be sort of half the residents will be in townhomes, the other half will be in singles. In terms of the size, it's called block zoning, so the lots aren't actually fixed in terms of size. It's going to be market driven and what people choose. So whether the lots are going to be 38 feet wide, 50 feet wide, or 40 feet wide isn't quite known yet, but the total number is a little over 1,200.
On the Empire lands, similarly, we haven't completely lotted out our plan to know exactly, but it's roughly 900 units is what we're looking at right now. Right now, about 30% of that would be attached townhouse product, but as the market changes over the course of the build-out, those numbers could change.
So Harold, the 2,000, and what about multifamily?
What's your definition of multifamily?
You could put multiple families in house, so kitchen in the basement, something like that.
So multifamily, that's town.
You're building the product and the idea of having 10 people in a home instead of 5, and increasing the density and traffic and people in the community.
One of the challenges with that question is that this is a 30-year plan. So what the 30-year plan is for the village to grow to approximately 10,000 people. So right now, we're at 3,600 people. So, but again, that's a 30-year plan. And so when it comes to the road, okay, and capacity, these are hard numbers to understand completely, but if you look at, say, 24 highway, I believe it's built to they handle, I think it's 60,000 cars a day, which kind of blows you away. And if you take Highway 5, okay, I don't know how many people, other than, Ron Eddy was here back in 1930 when we rebuilt it. It was built as, it was the only road. It was the main road going from Toronto all the way to Windsor. And so it was built to handle a really high traffic volume. And that's part of our problem because people drive to what they perceive they can. So so that's where the road dieting and stuff like that comes in to slow the traffic down when they're entering the village. But it's made to handle about 16,000 cars a day. And right now, St. George Road, going north on Main Street, handles about 6,000 cars a day. So there's actually quite a bit of capacity before you even start seeing any downtown down traffic parking lots on the highway that way. So, and that's, so there's different limits when the roundabouts again slow traffic down. And the roundabouts tend to be a lot safer than traffic lights on average. We have more accidents, but they're less deadly. So where we can put them in. That's what I was told. David's right. And we're always learning more things. But anyway, that's kind of the basis of what I'm saying. I'm going to turn it over to Dave so he can tell you the truth.
I just wanted to correct that because you are right that roundabouts are incredibly safe. But yeah, that I will admit, when they are first installed in a community, there's usually an increase in people getting rear-ended, etc. We saw that in Paris when the roundabouts went in, but Now it's not uncommon to use a roundabout, you know, if you drive through Kitchener, Waterloo, they're everywhere going down Rest Acres Road. So, but yeah, there is less accidents in a typical roundabout than a light, and Councilor McAlpine is exactly right. There are way more safe than a typical stoplight intersection, because the only accident you can get in is either rear end, and that's kind of a difficult accident to get in, or a side swipe. There's no ability for somebody going 80 kilometers an hour to pull a red light and side swipe you. So.
John. Well, you want to say something?
Well, yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't see you.
It's also a question online.
Oh, okay. Well, has he been online very long?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, give us the question online.
It's for Losani. For phase 1 construction, will trucks be accessing the site via Beverly Street rather than Hawk and West, which, if you're looking at the map, is on the little ones. the little road street to the right there.
Thanks for the question. We're in our what's called the first submission of draft plan detailed design to the county. I think we won't know the transportation routes for access for phase 1 for construction until we're at second or third submission. So we're probably months, if not close to a year away from knowing that level of detail. But it will be a process we go through, and it will be public. So let's keep in touch.
I'm just going to go over here for first time question.
John, when all these projects are completed, how much is going to raise the population of St. George, and what is the population of St. George today?
Okay, the population right now is about 3,600. Okay, and over the course of 30 years, it's planned to go to about 10,000 people. So, are you okay?
In regards to construction within the street, these new surveys, if you look at new surveys right now, the streets are very, very small. You can only park on one side, and there's really any space for cars to pass by. Currently in our town, our streets are quite wide. We have a lot of space in our neighborhoods. We all love our space in our neighborhoods. I think you can probably see cars running on that. We can park on both sides, and we can still safely drive through the borough with no issues or traffic. For the new surveys, is it going to keep the same, or are you going to change our village entirely?
Okay, so I'll talk a little bit about subdivision design first, and the way that these subdivisions are designed is to stop shortcutting. They're all residential areas, they're all where people live, and I'm sure people live on streets here that is a shortcut when traffic is bad. An example I would give is Banfield in Paris. It's a shortcut. And so the way that these streets are designed is there'll be kind of a main route through the community, and that street is designed to move traffic well and be safe for pedestrians. So they'll have larger boulevards, larger asphalt for snow storage, etc. But the streets that are within the community, there's ample room for movement, but it is by design, to be honest with you, that there's a 3.5 to 4 meter wide lane, which is a typical lane width, and park cars so that, again, when you're driving through, you feel like you need to slow down, and because we really don't want people speeding through these areas. And other things that we implement on the areas that are the main routes in and out of these communities is, we have flashing pedestrian crossings, and as well as speed bumps. We require those in these new developments. So I hope that answers your question. It depends on where you're living in the area. There's always enough room for 2 cars to pass and a parked car on one side. Again, there might not be parked cars on both sides of the road, but there's always enough room for 2 vehicles and 2 trucks even to pass each other with the car.
I'm just going to take a couple more questions, and then we'll close it up. Back here.
I think to turn on to that previous comment, I'm originally from a small town called Milton, where Mattamy Homes built subdivision upon subdivision upon subdivision, and their driveways are so small that everybody does have to park, and that kind of lends into that problem. So in your designs, are you going to incorporate decent sized driveways for the multi-generational families to park their cars on their driveway? Therefore, mitigating the necessity to park on the road, so that you don't sideswipe a vehicle as you're driving by, or a child runs out in front of you and you have to slam on the brakes behind the seat. You can't see those situations. So I'm going to design that, like I'll make decent driveways so that people can park two-car driveways.
Through the detailed design of the subdivision, we meet obviously the minimum criteria of the county based on the driveway length. And one thing the county does look for now in the engineering submissions, just getting under the street parking, is pairing of driveways to allow for more of a streetscape in order to park the vehicles. The county's, I think the planning department did a pretty big blitz of updating their parking standards as well as driveway standards kind of as they went through the Paris growth. So those are standards that are carried through the county. I think when you get in some tight driveways, sometimes they're within those condo blocks based on what you can fit. But essentially, everything should be as per county standards and with the 20-meter right-of-ways on the roads. And I just wanted to mention on the road widths through the Loveless subdivision as well as through Empires all the way up to the park, it'll be actually a 26-meter right away, so a lot larger for multi-use paths and parking. So that is taken into consideration as well through that. We'll work with the county on our plans through the detailed design to make sure they're adequate. One thing through urban design guidelines and connectivity is asking for sidewalks on both sides of the roads. Which is good, but also, as you know, if you don't have a sidewalk in your driveway, it's usually an extra parking space. So that is also something we're looking at and work with staff on just to make sure the proper roads do have the double sidewalks and maybe alleviate one side on the other.
One more question, and then at the very back.
So my question is kind of to them, but one of the biggest problems so is there husband and wife and 2 kids in each 2-neighbor drive, so you have 4 cars and 2 parking spaces in the drive. So what is the parking plan? For example, I go to Guelph quite often, and right by the university, there's a new subdivision, and they have the new recycling and garbage. So they have the big bins, the full-size bins. So everybody's got 2 bins, one green bin and one blue bin. And I happened to be at a side street one day where there was a garbage truck and a school bus. And the garbage truck had to drive on the sidewalk because it couldn't turn, and the school bus couldn't back up because there's snow and all these recycling bins everywhere. It was just absolutely the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. So if we're not going to build enough parking on the streets, are we going to have like some sort of overflow parking within the community for that kind of situation?
So I understand the comments. I live in a newer subdivision in Paris, and I'd actually recommend, the next time if you're going to Paris to drive near the Brant Sports Complex. It's actually a Losani subdivision, and to drive through there, because the roads that the county requires are actually wide compared to some of these other communities. I see them, you obviously see them. The residential areas are quite wide. There's ample room in there, and there's actually quite a lot of space within the roadway. And I got to say, our development engineering team, they are hard on these guys for making sure they follow all the standards and everything's done right. I'm sure that they all know this. So it's I don't know how to say this. I would recommend, drive around the Cobblestone area and all these other communities to really see it for yourself, because that's what's the type informing that will be in St. George.
We've already gone past time already, but I'm going to encourage you to come up and talk afterwards. Okay, and anybody else that would like to stick around and talk, we're more than welcome. Jennifer, did you want to say any last things before we close up? Oh, it's the 100th year of the Legion. We really thank them for supporting and having us here tonight. And I'm just going to pass it with
Yeah, and I just say thank you to everyone for coming out. It's always good when we have a big group of people who are engaged and want to know what's going on in the community. And John and I, and any of the councillors on council and the mayor, we're always open to discussions. So if you do have more questions, you have more concerns, things come up you think of once you've left here, by all means reach out to any of us and we'll be happy to get you whatever information that we can. Oh.